which is already out today. Our review along the spoiler cast later on in future episodes. With me, of course, my co-host Tajae. How are you doing, good sir?
But my boy,
Doing good, doing good. Yeah, doing good, doing good.
really
And of
excited
course,
right now.
absolutely, yep. And of course, special guest, the I don't even know what it meant. The man, the myth, the legend, Mr. David Kaye, voice actor for Clank and Ratchet and Clank. How are you doing, good sir?
Good, but let's just get one thing straight right off the top. I will never ever be as cool as you guys ever. So
I don't know. I don't know. I think you kind of edge it out, to be honest. I think you kind of got that one, to be honest, you know. But
thanks, thanks for having me on here, guys. It's pretty cool.
yeah, no, of course, of course. Yeah. I mean, thank you for agreeing to come on and everything. I know this was a few weeks in the planning and everything. I know you're supposed to be on, I think, episode 6. It got pushed, all that good stuff, you know what I'm saying? But glad you're here finally, of course. But just some housekeeping here. Catch us here on YouTube, the Conferences, Places, and Source, as well as podcast services like Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, etc. via our anchor link down below in that description. You can, of course, like and or rate the podcast. You hope to get seen by more viewers so we can grow the PSS family, as well as down below. Like and dislike and let us know what you like or hate. I mean, I hope you don't hate the show, but let us know down below as well. And connect with us further on Twitter and Discord in that description. And of course, shout out to all the members on the channel, the Prince tier members like Tapiwa Musa and Gameplay Sir, and our $5 King tier members, just like Caleb Kaiser, SideQuest Sean, City of Ed Gaming, and Owen as well. Hit the join button, become a member of Hidden Source as well. Stream series as well. You can check that out on the channel. We are doing Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Episode 1 was already done last night. That was a good time as well. And we will definitely talk about all that good stuff. But I've been talking for too long. I want to throw it first to the man of the hour, David Kaye. What have you been playing recently? You know, like I know, of course, you are a voice actor. Of course, you've voiced in a lot of games and everything. I'm sure we'll get to. But are you playing anything specific right now?
No, and the reason is my son moved out 2 weeks ago for the first time, so it's kind of emotional. He took the PS5 with him and the VR.
No way.
Oh.
Yo.
Like he bought it, but like I bought it. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But it's like, but he'd use his own money for the PS5. He just surprised me one day and said, "Yeah, so I got a PS5." I go, What? When? How did you get?" He said, "Oh, I just went online." So somehow he got one. So it's his new pad over there in North Hollywood, which is really cool. So I'm gonna have to go over there and we'll play some games. The last stuff I was playing was, was it? I can't even remember. The last PlayStation game I played, the one Nathan Hale. I played some of that.
Resistance. Resistance. Yeah. Okay.
Because I hadn't seen it for a while, and actually we're in the process of moving, and there is a bunch of games up there. Resistance 2. I got all the Ratchet and Clank stuff up there, Splinter Cell and stuff, some older stuff. But we're moving, so my mind has been consumed every night for the past 2 months. It's the most stressful thing you can do is move.
Yeah.
True. So everything is sort of packed away. Yeah, the last thing I did play was I kind of horsed around a bit with Splinter Cell and what the story one, the Walking Dead. I was doing the Walking Dead one for a while, which is kind of cool. My son turned me on to that one. Just not a lot. The pandemic is weird for me. I know we're still not quite out of it, but during the throes of it, the best thing mentally for me was actually being on shows and doing, like, we're all on like we're doing here at Zoom with like cartoons and some games, and we were working on the Ratchet and Clank thing, and that was like my medicine, being in here and laughing with people on a screen, but we're still like your mind's off everything. And so I kept busy watching a lot of movies, catching up, binge watching stuff, developing things for pitches and working on my own stuff. So when we get to our new pad, I am looking forward to hopefully getting a room like this built one day out there, and that's and sitting down and actually playing, the new game all the way through.
Yeah. I'm pretty shocked. I mean, I guess not shocked, whatever. But like, it's like interesting that you're of course one of the 2 stars in The most recent PS5 exclusive, of course, Ratchet and Clank Ripped Apart. And you don't like. Have you played the game? Like, have you played the final build at all? Like, I'm just curious on that whole
Of
standpoint.
the new
Yeah.
game? No, I haven't. What I like to do is I like to be pleasantly surprised. I'm one of these people that doesn't ask a lot of questions. I kind of stay in the moment, and we're working, and we got a lot of new stars on this game too, with Jan Hale and Deborah and of course James, myself, and gosh, our nefarious ran out loud. I gotta
It's so
uh,
many. It's so many people.
Robin, I can down Robin. I haven't seen Robin for a while, and it's so great to see them on the screen this morning. We were doing a bit of a launch, and so yeah, it's you're going to see, and you're going to find out from a lot of people who worked on the game, from voice on talent to all the way through voiceover talent, all the way through this. It's a real team effort. I mean, we're just sort of part of it. I know we're the characters, but the writing, and I got a huge shout out to the lead writer on this. She was great, Lauren Mee, and she grew up. She played like when she was in second grade. That was one of her first games she played. In second grade was Ratchet and Clank, and here she is at Insomniac on a AAA project, and she's the head writer on this. And so I mean, they've done such a great job. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah.
It makes me feel old because a lot of people on this morning, I was seeing, of course, Ted was there. Ted remembers my first audition, talking to Ted Price, and he remembers the very first time that I sent in the audition.
How
And
old were you at the time?
Yeah, what was that?
How old were you in 2002?
So how old was I? I can't remember. I was. You were two.
Yeah, 2002. Yeah, I was 4. Yeah, I was 4.
So there you go. So
yeah, I was 4.
I was hired for this. Like I read for the role must have been 98, 99. Must have been, right? Because it took probably what 4 years for the game to come out. So
yeah,
I'm thinking it must have been like late 90s.
Mm.
I just remember getting a paragraph. It was a paragraph. Just there was a bit of a description, and I remember the description was sort of he's a robot, but they didn't want him to sound like a robot. They wanted him to sort of have a personality. So it's kind of like walking a razor's edge. You gotta, well, how do I do that? So this is when I was recording on DAT tape. Yeah, you don't remember that, it was.
I don't.
Remember that? No,
I don't. I'm sorry.
That was the thing back in my day.
But it was so I just threw the thing in, and I had this, my agent. I was living in Canada at the time. We emigrated here to the U.S. We're U.S. citizens, but I was living in Canada still, Vancouver, and I got this audition from my LA agent, and it just said, hey, give us a few takes of this and we'll send it in. I have no idea what I was doing. And I just started kind of playing with the lines, and it seemed if I moved my head like this, it was robotic, but I wanted.
Whoa.
I mean, it's like there he is. So in my mind, and as the years went on, I wanted him to, like in the movie, there were some moments, very touching moments, and it was great because James and I worked together in the studio for the first time together, because we all did separate sessions in the games, but doing the movie, we were actually together in the room because it was fun to play off each other. So it helped bring that level of emotion to this AI character. And I wanted people to feel something. I wanted to feel something. And having him in the studio, really helped. So as the character went on in the years, he developed over the years, it became easier to bring a bit of emotion into him, because people sort of, they were expecting that. He's just not your regular everyday robot. He has a backstory, and he's a being as far as I'm concerned. So,
just trying to make somebody feel something when he talks. Yeah,
and there's a softness to him. He's lovable. So I just did my thing and sent it in and forgot about it. And Ted remembers hearing that audition, and he remembers. He told me this morning. He said, "I remember that we heard that. Went, that's it." So, and here how many years later? We're like 15, 20 years later, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah. I
still
mean,
doing it.
Yeah, it's
actually,
crazy.
I did have a question. Like you talked a little bit about your first audition and like starting out with the franchise with the first game back in 2002.
Yeah.
My friend Jack Martin, he actually writes for PlayStation Games and all that.
Yeah.
He asked, did you ever expect the series to be a core franchise in PlayStation history? Now we're almost. I mean, next year it'll be 20 years with the franchise. Like, did you ever expect this from the start?
No, not at all. It was you never think that. The only other franchise I've been involved with, there's been a few, but the big one, of course, the Transformers world. I grew up with like Bugs Bunny. I grew up with like weird, strange cartoons, like psychedelic stuff. And I used to, Tex Avery, weird things. I used to love all that stuff. So I was never exposed to, G.I. Joe or Transformers. I didn't really pay too much attention. I started doing these auditions, and I think it was good that I wasn't, because I didn't have any preconceived notions. I didn't have any, so coming up with these characters, I'm glad, like for the Megatron character in the Beast Wars Transformers thing, I had no idea what Frank Welker had done. And I think I'm glad I didn't know, because it would have maybe colored my outlook on the character, and been in Clank. So it was a new character as far as I was concerned. And this character was a brand new character. I like it when these are new characters, because you can, for me personally, you can create something. There's certain roles I've done where the character has been done by somebody else before, and that's a tough pair of shoes to fill when you're doing that, because it has to be the same. So I'm glad there was a blank slate when it came to this guy. So I don't know. Did I answer any of your questions? Probably not.
No, yeah, no. I mean, I think you. Yeah, no.
I actually have a
I
question with, like, for instance, all right, so how let's say, I don't know if you know anything about recording music, have like a DAW that's like FL Studio or Pro Tools. Well, my question was like, what DAW do y'all use, as well as like what plugins? Like, do y'all have any plugins for your voice other than like a basic out the picture?
No, they want us to be lean and clean, mean.
Oh, so it's raw recordings.
So it's raw. Like I use an Apollo, in the studio. This is a Peluso P67, modeled after the old U67 Neumann. And it just goes through basically a board, and there's very little on this. And for the recording of the game, last couple games, I guess this one in particular, we use an Omni mic, which is a lapel mic they use for film, and it hangs on your head right here. You put a baseball cap on backwards, and you clip it in there, and then they use that. So that's all. They don't want anything on it at all. So
When I do the voice, it's robotic, but
and there's an element of there's a bass to it. There's a it's hard to explain, but Ted originally thought that I'd put something on it. I sweetened it, or I did something with it.
And that's all you.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
but
Even the
Ratchet,
laugh, like the hee hee.
That's based on I thank Frank Welker for that. I call it the Scooby laugh.
Oh,
Bro, that is wild. That is crazy.
Because that's one of the things when you're developing a character is, okay, how does he laugh? And I remember the first couple sessions I went in for this character, like we were recording at Warner Brothers at that time, in the big soundstage, which is really cool for me to go over there and go,
oh my God, I'm under the Warner Tower.
Literally we were in the studio under the Warner Tower. And I think one of the questions was, well, how does he laugh? And I'm like, it's the good thing, because that's a voiceover thing. That's if you're learning voiceover, how does this character laugh? What is he? And so we kind of I didn't know. I kind of tried a few things, and then I thought of Scooby Doo. Oh, okay, So
yeah.
I did that with Clank. They just back and forth, and that.
Bro, it's so crazy hearing it like real time, like that. I don't know. It's weird hearing it like real life.
I'm right with Tajae, because listen, I'm not sure what answers I was going to get out of David Kaye, right? But one of them was right. One of them was not the prospect that when we hear Clank in the game, like it's not edited at all, really. Like you that's just your voice, and like that just speaks to obviously your talent. But like I just never thought that like, because it doesn't sound like human, like it's really interesting. Like that's a really good, that's crazy.
Like I said,
Yeah.
it's a razor's edge, when you're working with the AI. I seem to do a lot of grandpas, robot grandpas. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I don't know. Do I identify with a robot?
But it's like, even then, like, I
I
thought
mean,
y'all use some type of like EQs and pitch correction, because like, sometimes you
yeah,
yell or like you talk different. It's like, that's crazy. You hit
sure.
like all intact. Like, I know how to control your vocals. Like,
Yeah.
well,
Well, that's the thing, right? It's a control, and being a musician, you know that it's all about nuance and control, right?
right.
I mean, I seen how Tom Kenny does SpongeBob. He takes his hand and
Yeah.
it's you use. I've done characters like this in here, make a big jowl. It's
Bro, what?
so it use all part of the instrument. So your body's the instrument. You're just kind of figuring out ways to use it. And like when I was younger, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I still, honestly, you know what? Some days I don't. I know what I'm good at. I know how to do things because there's been enough time on the planet. But it's when you're younger, you're just trying to figure this stuff out. And the older you get, you go, oh, you develop these little tricks. You develop these little things that you don't really think about before, or you see somebody. Roger Craig Smith I worked with in a lot of cartoons, and he's so freaking funny and a great guy. And he has all kinds of funny little things that he does. And D. Bradley Baker is another voice actor who's just mind-blowingly. Frank Welker, my God, you hear crickets, and he can throw a cricket's sound. You're looking around for the cricket, and it's Frank, and he's over there. So it's an instrument. It's music. It's jazz. It's that's what it is. It all comes down to that for me.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I did have friends of the channel, Owen. He has a question because he has done some not mocap. He's done some voice acting here and there on the side, and he just asked, for someone who has recently done his first mocap session and voice acting for a small company, how did you actually get into mocap and voice acting? As like a hobby, or now of course as a career? And I guess to double side with that, is there any advice you would give to someone that may be listening or watching that wants to break into that as a career? Yeah.
Well, I don't do enough mocap. I just, for some reason, I can't I can't seem to crack that, and I think a lot of it has to do with a schedule. My agent keeps, my animation agent keeps saying, "You sure you don't want to throw your hat in the ring?" I go, "Yeah, maybe I'll start." It became a mocap, I think, is important because that's where everything's going, right? They were talking about doing some mocap stuff during the recording of this latest game.
Really? Interesting.
And I can't remember that. It was like just before the pandemic, and they said, "Hey, if things get better, are you willing to go in?" And that was like, it was like March last year. I go, I'm not going anywhere. I'm barricaded in my house. I'm not leaving. And so, of course, they scrapped that. But I've done a few things where I'm in the room and I'm like, well, I wish I could bounce around and do some stuff. I never got going on that, or I never sort of threw my hat in the ring. If a mocap thing would come up, and I'd look at it, and go, just based on my schedule and stuff, and if I'm doing animation and other stuff, and I also do a lot of trailers and promos and radio and television affiliate work, and I'm sort of all over the map, kind of like a Swiss Army knife in a way. So if I'm going to do some mocap, I get a chunk a day that there's some clients that I'm going to need to record for, and okay, how do I do that? So it becomes time management. But fast forward to today, where I have a couple of portable rigs. I mean, I can record in my car these days, and I've done that on the road, and so I can record. Let's say I'm in a mocap session and I have to do it, and I'm in there for a few hours, and maybe on the break, I'll whip out to the car. I'll turn I'll upload the video audio. If somebody wants something like a television news station or a promo that I need to do, or trailers, or if you're on a trailer campaign, you got to be available. So as much as I really want to do mocap, and I think I'd still like to, and I've been asked to, my body is, I work out every day and I'm still sore. So if I do mocap and it's a bunch of running around and jumping, I go, okay, well, so that's part of it. Am I getting to the age where I'm like, I just want to sit in my chair and
talk.
So if you're young and the video game industry is, a lot of mocap stuff, that's where it's headed. The more real, the better. It's acting, learning lines, being prepared, being on set. It's imagination. It's all pretend. And you got to be as real as possible. And so you combine those two things with voice acting and action, and it's the best of both worlds. So a long-winded answer is do all of it. It's acting. It's it's what it is, and you're on set, and it's the same as being in front of a camera. You just got a suit on. So that's where it's headed, and it's very cool. So I'd say mocap is where it's really going to explode, and already has.
Right.
You know?
I have so I have a great question for you.
Mhm.
This is like dates back to like, I guess prior to you guys, how y'all record your lines now. And that was, from what I've read, I don't know exactly if this is completely accurate, but for the first 4 Ratchet Clank games, or the first 3 before Deadlocked, you recorded your lines without actually meeting, his name is James Arnold Taylor. Never
Sure,
met him
yes.
before. How was
No.
that like, because the chemistry of the characters, feel it like that it works together very well.
Yeah.
How did y'all do that without actually working? Was
Yeah.
that, did he send lines first? You like went off of his, you send yours first, you went off of yours, or did y'all not hear it at all?
No, never usually heard him until I may have heard him coming in the studio for my session, and they would be fixing something, and it'd be James. I knew James before this. And to me, he was like, he's one of the those like oh God, I hope to have a career like his one day. When I first started out, and I remember the first time we met. You're right, it was like 3 or 4 games in, and we were at recording in was it Castle? What was the studio over in Burbank? And I finally met him. And of course, he's much shorter than I am. And so it's completely opposite.
Yeah.
Yo.
He's like,
Hey, let me get on your back. That'll be fun. I said, well, I don't think this is a good idea. You might break me. So, but yeah, it was neat to finally meet in person. That's how it is. You as an actor, you have lines in front of you. The trick is to make it in the moment and real as possible, to be, that's your job. When we're in the studio situation, we're behind the glass. Sometimes I'll run down the scenes, and they'll maybe say, okay, in this scene, blah, blah, blah. And there's like a chunk of dialogue, and I'll just go through that a few times. Other times I'll have the voice director, in this case, Chris Zimmerman, who I just love to pieces, will read with me. Sometimes she won't. I'll be fine. I'll just on my own. But sometimes I'll just to get the intent of the scene, I'll ask someone to read the lines beforehand, read Ratchet's lines. So that's how I would do it. We just play off each other. So, and they're doing their job very, very well, because they know if it's going to work or not as well. Chris will say, she'll call me on and say, well, it's not quite, let's try that again. And, he's just asked you so-and-so, and you got to blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, okay, let's try that again. And then with that direction and her help and the reading, you just get a more accurate scene. It's just being in the moment, man. It's that old actor school stuff. It's just, yeah, you have to pretend like what you're saying is coming out of your mouth for the very first time, even though you said it about 40.
Honestly,
Yeah.
That's the trick. It has to be new you're just discovering something every time you open your mouth. It's
Right.
You and I, we're talking. I don't know what I'm going to say next. I have no idea. I can barely put a sentence together. Number one. Number two, we don't know what we're going to say. That's human beings. So that's got to translate into whatever you're doing, video games, animation. That's where you want it. That's where you want it to be. You want to try and strive for that.
Right. I do have a side question.
Mhm.
It's from a friend. I gotta ask it. Christian Buckley. He wants me to ask you: do you have an opinion on Jak and Daxter? They've been referenced in some of the games in the past. Like, have you ever played them? Do you have any experience with them? Anything with Jak and Daxter?
Yeah, I remember playing that when my son was young, like a long time ago, and it was fun. I used to play that all the time.
Nice.
I've since then I'm like I said, I don't pay enough attention. I know the Jak and Daxter franchise. I know it's and they're cool, and that's beyond that. I don't know.
sort of focus on what I'm doing and making sure that what I'm doing is good, not good, but great. I'm trying to make whatever I do great. So I don't think too much about stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which
I love the character. When I remember it was like years ago, I was playing the characters and I just like, well, okay, moving on to the next game.
Respectfully though, you don't need to know because Ratchet and Clank is way better than Jack and Daxter anyways.
Okay.
This is how it is. I know people love Jack and Daxter, but they don't have anything at all on Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank is far superior in every way possible. Clank and Ratchet are way better than Jack and Daxter, so there it is. You don't even got to worry about it.
Yeah, so you said I didn't say
yeah,
that.
I said it.
I was just gonna say that, like David K, you just brought up that you try to put your all in everything, make sure everything's great. I was gonna say it's fantastic. What you do with Clank, like Tajae is a long time Ratchet and Clank fan. I just played through all the games in the past few months, and so I'm a bit of a new fan to the franchise. So I just want to say, hey, you've done a fantastic job consistently throughout the games, for sure.
Thanks.
For sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
thank you so much. I'm kind of hoping, I was going to ask this morning, but I'll have breakfast with Ryan Schneider, one of the guys there in Insomniac. And I'm going to say, is there any way that they can make it so we can play all the games like on one platform? How does that work? That'd be
Thank you.
Bro, you gotta ask that.
We all want that.
You gotta ask that.
We all want that.
I will ask that on your behalf. And
yes, thank you.
Yes. And I'm sure who knows if they're even thinking about. I'm sure somebody's going, it'd be kind of cool if we could all play it all the way.
It's only right.
It's only right.
I guess because I guess it's the technology, right? That's however, and the money that they'd have to spend making everything platform. I don't know.
Yeah. I can't believe you just said that. I'm not taking it for like set in stone or anything, but the fact that you said you go ask. Hey.
No, I will because I want to.
Oh yeah.
I want to be able to sort of like, let's start from the beginning and and go through and see, because it's kind of fun to go from the start and see where they are now. And look, I've seen cuts of the game in pieces, and I'm like blown away by the Pixar, like or even beyond Pixar. And I know the technology now and what's going on, and I found out this morning, and I didn't even realize this, and you already know this, but the 3D headphones, I'm like, headphones. I remember, have you ever heard 3D sound? It's so awesome. So I really want to get a hold of some 3D headphones and start, I want to immerse myself in that. That's why it's going to, it'll be a couple of months, because moving, is just, it's horribly stressful. And I want to get out there and sort of sit down and go, okay, nobody's around, get the joystick, get the thing going. And I want the whole experience. And until I can do that, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna look at clips. I'm gonna see things, so I'm familiar with the game for the most part. But until that moment, that's when I'll really get into it. When I can just take my time and do that, because there's too much distraction right now for me.
Right. I did want to ask a little bit more about, of course, this new game, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. It's out today. Mm-hmm. I've played about 2 hours of it. I think Tajae's an hour in. But not as much as I want to. But
I'm trying to get the conclusion.
Get some hours in. Yeah, for sure. I just wanted to ask you, what was it like when Insomniac approached you to do Rift Apart after Ratchet and Clank 2016 and the movie project? Was there a different type of direction they were looking for with Clank? Were they looking to do something different with his character specifically going forward in the series? Was there anything that was a bit unique involving Clank's involvement in this new game when they approached you with the project?
There's two things. Number one, when my agent called and said, so I don't know if you've heard, but there's gonna be another Ratchet and Clank game. I was like, God, thank God. He's not dead. Good. Okay. All right. I was thrilled, because it's like, okay, we're still going. Going.
Oh yeah.
And the number two, the only really direction, I mean, Chris was talking about it in the development, the new writers and let's see, Lauren and Brian. about wanting to make sure that because I'm now, oh, man, it's hard to 20 years older. Make sure that Clank doesn't sound, make sure he's still, the up in here, make sure he's here, and
Make sure he's not sounding roughed and up like you're getting older.
yeah, like he's a little older,
Yeah.
Weathered. Yeah.
yeah, like, yeah, that was the only direction, was to just make sure, we keep him here. And that's the biggest thing of doing a character for so many years. You still have to, sound like you're young, and hey, whatever that is. That was the only thing, but it was just more like relief and joy, and the fact that we're going to be working on another game, because it takes a long time, as you know, to record and to develop. And man, the artwork and the scenes and the dialogue and all the sound. I mean, everybody's just triple A on this, man. Like from top to bottom, all the way through. It's just it's crazy.
All right,
Crazy.
so you're speaking on how, like, for instance, of course, the franchise has been going for a long time. But like, yeah, we're still going. So this is a great segue to a question I want to ask you. Out of all the many years of like working on, Ratchet and Clank and being Clank, what is your favorite moment, you think, like, when the characters are just in the game in general?
Well, I'll tell you what my favorite moment was the we did a little premiere. I don't know if there's much money in the budget to promote the film and stuff. That was we really wanted it to be special. The coolest there's kind of two coolest moments, but it was the film and sitting in the movie theater at the ArcLight in Sherman Oaks with a lot of my peers and some of the cast, and James and I were there, and my kids and friends and wife was there, and then the big screen, on comes your character, and it's Clank, and my voice is like, I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is now I did get that and a couple times, and I was in the movie Up, the first scene, but I'm a voice in the movie, the beginning of Up. Adventurers out there, child's months, that whole
I didn't know that. That's
yeah,
cool.
we're at the Hollywood premiere of that, and I was in that film, and that was an amazing experience, and it went on to win an Oscar, for crying out loud. But this was me as my character. It was an actual character, and we're like the stars of the show. And then the movie poster, and I'm looking at the movie poster. It's right back there.
Yeah. Back there. Yeah.
Sylvester Stallone, David Kaye. I go, huh? Like it's surreal. It's this kid from a small podunk town in Canada, in Ontario, that who would, and I got my name on a movie poster besides Sylvester Stallone. What? It's like, wow, that was real.
Yeah.
So that the film was where all those moments of, oh my God, this is a thing, and it's happening, and then we're doing and so that blew me away. That was kind of cool.
So speaking of the film, whenever you did those VO for that, were you like around Bella Thorne and stuff like that as well, or you just?
Oh yeah, we did a press day with Bella. A lot of they did their own. I was so. Look, I'm the master of not asking anything. So I show up to the thing, and she's looking beautiful and everything else. I'm like, who's that? And James says, oh, that's Bella Thorne. I go, you mean she's in our in the movie? Yeah, I didn't know that.
Nice.
You have 6 million followers. I think I had like 6,000 at that time. I go, okay, well, no wonder she's okay. Yeah, so there's the people that were in the film. We didn't really get a chance to work with them all. But who was Paul Giamatti was one of my favorite, and John Goodman was in it. Bella was in it. Oh gosh, Rosario Dawson, who I'm in love with still.
Love her.
Oh my.
Love her. Oh yeah.
And I thought Rosario she was fantastic. She's fantastic. She's great. So I wish I had a chance to meet these people, but we were all separate because people were recording, different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Now I do want to pivot a little bit towards the solo game that you had, Secret Agent Clank, right?
Yeah.
My friend Omar Nakvi wanted to ask, was there a specific James Bond or Bond-esque or literally a Bond movie that influenced that game and that performance? And was there any like ideas that you had for a sequel or anything that was floating around in the ether of ideas that we could continue Secret Agent Clank to some degree?
I remember the chatter after the game came out. We said, we got to continue this, man. These are great. We got to continue, but who knows, I hope come back. But everybody's seen it it was quite fun. But I just had to make sure he had a bit of, again, he's an AI. Now we have a bit of emotion with this, but he also has to be suave now. It has to be James Bond. So you sort of throw that in your brain while you're doing these things. And James Bond always has these quips in all the movies. So you try and just, I always called it Clank with swagger. That's sort of
essentially that's what it is.
Yeah, that's how I kind of did that game. But it's kind of fun to be the star of the show for once.
Yeah. I bet.
Exactly. I say Clank and Ratchet, I feel like they're equal. I feel like Clank isn't really a sidekick. I feel like he holds up just as strong. So
I agree.
You can't do one without the other. It's
right. I agree.
Especially, let's be real, like you're the center of the universe, the holder of time at the clock. So
you are.
I mean, really, you are the star.
If you really get dig down deep, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. What I kind of have an open-ended question, right? So, of course, you've played a lot of different characters in media, right? Like you've been Jarvis, Commissioner Gordon in Arkham City. You mentioned earlier Nathan Hale in the Resistance franchise, Vision, Superman, etc. Right?
Right.
What specifically does Clank mean to you?
Oh, well, he's that. There was one voiceover talent I can't remember. I think it was the guy, and gosh, forgive me, I can't remember his name, but he's the voice of Sports Center, ESPN Sports Center. The guy does all the stuff, right?
I am Googling as you're talking.
Please let me know his name because I have to make sure I quote. He said something in an interview once that was very profound.
Was it Cayman Kelly?
Was it Kelly? Yeah, I think what's his name? Kelly. Yeah, Sports Center.
Cayman Kelly. I got the first thing on Google.
Pretty sure that.
Or Chris Kelly.
It's Chris Kelly. I think it's Chris. I think it's Chris Kelly. I think it's Kelly. It's something. But he's the announcer for ESPN. You hear him all the time. But
we'll just call him Kelly and hope one of them is right. we'll just do that.
I just want to make sure I give him a shout out because he said it's like you go to the library and you get to rent these characters for a while. I mean, in the fact that in the Transformers universe, some of us get bummed out if we're replaced, but that's just the business. I mean, I'm so fortunate to be able to have inhabited and been able to sort of rent this character for a while, and make it my own. Like for example, my good friend Eric Bauza, who's now Bugs Bunny. He's he's a Filipino Canadian. I mean, he's one of the most iconic voices. Bugs Bunny for crying, Daffy Duck. You'd never know it by looking at Bowser is so good at it. But he says, we get a chance to inhabit these characters, and it's an honor. You just have to kind of look at it that way, that you are fortunate enough to be able to have, created this character and yeah, like none of us are guaranteed a role, but to actually have a character and live on for a long time, like a Beast Wars Megatron or Clank for any of these characters is just a thrill because it's very rare. It's very rare. But I'm honored to be able to inhabit these characters for the time that we have. This Kelly guy from ESPN said, one day they're going to get a young kid come in here and do this, but hey, it's what a hell of a job. What a job it is. It's fantastic. It's fun. Wouldn't do anything else.
And for somebody coming out of school wondering, I was in radio at the time. When I was 17, I started doing, on air on a radio station, but I had no idea what I was going to do. And I didn't have a clue. So thank goodness I found something.
This makes a great segue. So we're talking about like all the different characters you've done and like favorite. What would be like a dream character that you would like to step in the shoes of that you haven't done?
Anything from Star Wars, anything.
Oh yeah, I love.
I had a chance to do a small role on with Dave Filoni on the series, the animated series. But
wait, I saw you were you were a general or
I was
something like that, right?
Tandon, General Tandon.
Yes, yeah.
In one of the episodes, and I mean Star Wars, like when you said you were how old were you? You said you were 2 or 4 years old when you started playing.
Yeah, that would have been Tajae.
Yeah. When I started playing, I was 4. But so I played the first one in 2004, even though it came out 2002. But then from there, I just always went up all the way through, like everyone that came. And I'm 21 now.
4 years old, and when I was, how old was I when the first Star Wars came out in 77? So I remember leaving that movie theater. I went, oh, I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be somehow part of that. I don't know what I was thinking, but I just knew that I wanted to be involved in that because I mean I love sci-fi, and it's one of my favorite genres. And the fact that I got a chance to work a little bit in it, but any Star Wars characters like live action, that would be a real dream come true. And the new series on the Mandalorian, I was like, oh man, would it be so cool? Yeah, I mean, it's just if it's in the stars, it's in the stars, right? But I just dig the Star Wars franchise, and also the Star Trek too. I'm a big fan of that. It's anything that I'm a big fan of. It'd be kind of cool just to do something.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely see that for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we can go a couple different ways here. I'm trying to really siphon out which one I want to go for. You know what? We can tie it back to obviously like I don't think any of us really wants to like think about the past year, right? And like how that's gone, right? But how was it like, from a perspective of a voice actor, being in the industry, I'm used to, both me and, we're used to consuming the games and, hearing about it when a trailer drops or news drops, right? But how was it like in game development from a voice actor's perspective in the trenches during a pandemic? Like what was unique challenges that arose from that, or just anything you want to just go off on,
Well, in my case, it's so fortunate to have, this here. I mean, it couldn't be built better for a pandemic.
Yeah.
But there were friends of mine, and we were in the middle of a series who had to go from scratch. And I always maintain, to always tell people, get a little system for home. It's easy to do, now, and put a little booth up and whatever, spend a bit of money. But this was I mean, for me, it wasn't that bad of a year last year for work. I mean, all the concert tours that I usually do, that disappeared. That's picking up big time right now because everyone's going out. So I was able to work fine. There was no all the cartoons and stuff. There's a few things that I'm not allowed to talk about that we were able to do, and the game that we can talk about, we were continuing to do that. It was all the cool thing for me is we were able to make it happen and continue on. There was I would say the first 4 months in the height of the pandemic, the first 4, like many of us, my mental state was like, how am I going to do this? We don't know what tomorrow is. We had no idea what's going to happen. Everybody's like freaked out and afraid, and we had no idea. So thank goodness for my wife, and my son, and a backyard in my studio. I was okay. I kept worrying about, I'm a bit of a lot of an empath. Kept worrying about like what other people were going through, and what was, the folks in New York living in in a 1-bedroom apartment and all. I always worried about everybody else. And that's not good for me to do, because I just piles on. So the best thing for me, like I said earlier, was to be working and to doing, cartoons and working on Ratchet and Clank. And there was another video game we're working on too. It's been announced. It's coming out. Uh, what is it? The Psychonauts 2 is going to be released sometime in the new year.
Oh, I didn't know you were
Yeah,
involved in that.
Ford Kruller. I can tell you that. That's
Nice.
yeah. So, we're able to work on these all these things, and so for me, it was okay. It was just sort of a mental thing, that the outside world is going through some weird stuff, but I have to just I got to keep it together.
Right. Yeah.
It was a struggle every day. You don't sleep well, and you got to get up and you got to perform. You got to be hey. That was tough, and I guess other than that, we seem to be in a better situation now. I can't wait to get back to table reads and in-person stuff because I like the interaction much better. When you're in person, it's just yeah. I mean, it's great we're doing it by Zoom, but I like the personal
Right.
connection. Apparently, I got to have that. Apparently, that's a thing with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's just human nature.
Yeah. Sure.
Definitely. I did think about something that you mentioned, right? So, going back a little bit towards just the history of Clank, like, is there a specific like story beat that you find fondly that you remember, or like, is there something like specific to a game that that you felt like was just a different level for Clank that you're fortunate enough to be a part of in the Ratchet and Clank series?
Okay, one more time.
Like, so I guess, like, is there like a specific like story moment or like story piece of lore that you really attach with Clank, like him,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, like Tajae mentioned earlier, was the clock, the father figure, where he comes from,
Yeah.
in the whole storyline. Like I said at the very top, this character has a backstory, which is kind of cool. A lot of robots really don't have backstories. I mean,
that's true. They're just created and they get disposed of.
Yeah, like, I mean, you brought up Star Wars, right? Like, there's droids everywhere and they're just disposable, right?
Droids, and
yeah.
Clank has this history, and I just love that. And I remember doing the whole thing about the father and the clock, and I was like, oh, so that I was saying, well, that's why he has a bit of a personality, because he's not your typical robot. So
yeah, he's essentially more than just like that defect they said he was.
Yeah.
I think that's
875429, whatever he was. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, do you remember the name? I mean, the number and everything.
No, I don't. I just throw out numbers.
Yeah.
I'll just play a Clank. Clank will be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I actually have one too, actually. So with Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, obviously there's another Lombax at play, right? There's Rivet. What was it like, having to grow a chemistry with a new character in the franchise, after fans obviously become attached with Ratchet and Clank? The game is called Ratchet and Clank. What was it like, having to build that rapport with Rivet?
Well, it was great. Number one, Jan Hale's a very good friend of mine, and she's just one of those super talents,
Oh, yeah.
and so fun to work with her. I've worked with her on the Avengers, or it was a Marvel stuff we were doing. Over the years, we'd worked on a few things together, but it's so great to be able to. When I found out she was in, I went, "Oh, well, this is going to be cool." I mean, I didn't know much about the storyline, she was. I liked it because Clank had to show a different part of Clank. He usually knows everything, but now he's a little out of his element, which is kind of cool.
Good point.
Good
point.
Over at Insomniac, I feel like right now, since I guess it's only right, since they just wrote this new character Rivet and they want to push it and on board with it, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Team Rivet, I love Rivet and stuff." Me personally, I'm someone I feel like I'm open to meet Rivet and see how she is and like throughout the game. Like I'm open to it. I'm excited to see. But I want you to answer like to me, just completely non-biased, honest opinion, truthful, not even for market or anything. Would you put Rivet on this pedestal over Ratchet, or like how they're doing right now? I feel like, or would you say I still feel like Ratchet is like the star of this show
Oh gosh, well,
over
I don't.
Rivet, and not like them booting Ratchet?
I haven't really. I haven't played it. I just it's the cool. Let me just say this: the coolest thing about what they've created is, I mean, it's a deep, deep well of amazing characters. There's so many. This is unlike a lot of games where, for example, in Insomniac Spider-Man, there's like the main, there's Spidey and there's this has a lot of different characters in it who could easily, go off and have their own game. You know what I mean? It's a pretty and how deep that world is blows me away. Number one, how deep this world is. I think that's what makes the game great. Is these are the characters. Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal ad. When I first found out, sort of in the studio, like what's going on. You can't tell anybody, but this is what it's about. I'm like, oh, well, this is cool. I never thought of that. This is so I don't know. I mean, it's Ratchet and Clank, but these characters just they I think it's fantastic for the storyline. It's who am I? I don't know. I think it's fantastic. I think it's great. But it is, it is the Ratchet and Clank franchise.
Right.
Correct. Now, this question might seem super random, but I gotta ask this just as like, of course, Ratchet. He's had like, from what I know of, one girlfriend in this game. I mean, well, in the series, I haven't finished the Rift Apart yet, so I don't know if Riven had anything. Tywin was like his girlfriend friend. How do you feel about Clank? He's always been like this player, this womanizer. Like it's all the robo chicks.
Yeah.
Like, what does that like mean to you? Like, why do you think he has such a way with women robots?
Well, it's the same thing in life. It's like he's kind of like my dad. My dad is, so harmless in this. He's like the guy in the movie Up. He looks like Carl in the movie Up. He's and he's always been surrounded. My mother's, oh, your dad's out with his girlfriends again. He's a musician. He was a drummer. And he's just he's a sweet guy. And it's like my uncle. My uncle was alive. His brother. And he's all Span, and he was always surrounded by beautiful women. And it's like, Ben's got a new girlfriend. Oh, okay.
And that's how Clank be. Like he's always got some new chick. So it's like,
yeah, so he's cute and harmless and fun. I don't know, but yeah, I was kind of wondering if if there'd be a little something, little.
I think we all should settle down one day, and I think it'll be cool. I don't know what's next, but if Clank, could you see Clank settling down?
Oh gosh, retiring? No. A million years. No, I think I broke his. No, I didn't break anything. It's just I don't know what did I break it? I didn't break it, did I?
Oh no, you broke Clank. Oh no.
If you broke his arm or something, it's fine because that fits with the Rift Apart, especially if it's his left arm.
It does.
Or his right. I think it's his right arm is broken. Yes, his right.
I might have broken his arm, or I'm not sure. I might have to glue something.
If it makes you feel better, in Rift Apart, his arm's broken, so you could just say it was made like that.
Okay, so no, but I'm gonna have to seriously get out the. Oh man, I'm such an idiot. And I broke it on your show.
Oh man.
But no, good. Yeah, I'll have to fix it. I'll fix it.
Was it the right arm though?
Was it the right arm? I don't know. I can't remember. I don't know how it goes. Stupid. All right. The Ratchet's been broken. We fixed him. So we'll fix it.
Now, it is again, I think a little bit closer to when you said you had to do a hard out and go to another appointment and everything. So definitely don't want to take up too much more of your time. But I did just have one final question, involving Clank, involving Ratchet and Clank Ripped Apart.
Yes.
Do you feel that, obviously I know you're not allowed to tell me the end of the story, right? Or like, do anything like that. But are you pleased with where Clank was positioned in this game? Like, do you think he has a good momentum perhaps moving forward? Do you think that they challenge the character in a way? Or just, I guess, overall, like, how do you feel, after your latest installment of being Clank in the series?
It's great. I mean, the strength of these characters and what they've done with them, and how what they've written for them, the dialogue is really great. I couldn't be happier, honestly. Like we all said this morning in the launch, and everybody, it was, I mean, people were in tears, for crying out loud, how great the experience is with working with this entire team, putting this game together. So no, from my perspective, Clank, they threw everything at Clank and then some. So it was a lot of fun. There were times when where I was exhausted after the session. I don't really get that way, so that they're working you. The character. No, he's great. All the way. I loved every minute of it. It was a lot of work.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, I guess I'll just toss over to Tajae if he had any last things to
honestly,
ask.
I just want to say thanks for bringing your gift to this game, because I feel like without you, I don't know, I don't think the game will be the same. And Ratchet and Clank is like my favorite franchise, like long running PlayStation game of all time, because I feel like that's long. Honestly, I've been playing it my whole life, so I want to say appreciate I guess privilege to play the game. Are you taking your time to work on it?
Oh, it's an honor to be to have this character. I mean, it really is. So, and thank you guys so much. And Tajae, I got to get one of those chairs, man.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes. He's got a good chair. I mean,
I need one for the studio. I got to get one of those. Never mind to play the game. I just got to get one.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, I'll echo similar things of Tajae, right? Like where, I really view voice actors like very highly, right? Like it's difficult to convey emotion, to convey just these little nuances with purely only your voice, right? I just think that it's just a different level of skill set as opposed to like the average actor. You know what I'm saying? So I really, think highly of voice actors. I think highly of you as well, of course. There's been a lot of characters that I've grown to love throughout the years in gaming and movies and everything, but especially in gaming. And just in my eyes, like if there was ever a time where, Insomniac would flirt with the idea of recasting Clank, like I'm not gonna swallow that pill. Like in my eyes, David Kaye is Clank, and that's period.
Well, that's awesome. That's
period. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. Really, really appreciate it. It makes my day, makes my year, decade, makes my last 20 years. That's
very appreciate you, man.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, David. Thank you for giving us your time. I really do appreciate it. Of course, we all do really appreciate it. And I guess at this time, I'll just outro the show. And if you need a hard out, feel free to just dip out whenever you need to.
I need to get on. Go. I need to go. Apparently, I'm getting. But thank you again, guys. Really appreciate it.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You got it, man.
That was David Kaye, ladies and gentlemen.
That was lit.
I can breathe.
Cool guy. Bro, he dropped a lot of information, but let's just say, bro, this guy was saying he's gonna ask them to like collection remaster for PS5. If that happens, it'll be perfect.
In a world,
I would
Tajae,
bro.
Like in a world where we talk about backwards compatibility,
yes.
we talk about cross-gen game. It is fantastic that we had
hearing him say that he would personally ask on our behalf. Our behalf.
Yes, sir.
Us.
Yes, sir.
That's just the biggest W ever.
Listen, if a Ratchet and Clank collection happens on PS5, it is because of us.
Yes.
It is because of this show right here.
1000%.
Absolutely. You know what I'm
1000%.
saying?
I want.
You know
We
what
got.
I'm
We
saying?
need all the credit. You know what I'm saying?
All the credit.
All
so
the
you're
credit. Any
welcome.
bags. Anything y'all
Yes,
want to
sir.
send our way, we need that. We need them
Yes,
royalties.
sir.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. But you know, I mean, I know that I can't believe that happened. But if you want to talk about the game, Taj, you know, our kind of
I
first
mean, yeah.
impression,
I mean, we could.
we don't
I
have
mean,
to
I can
stop
open
right
up
now.
chat now too. I guess like we.
Yeah,
I could,
yeah. I mean, you know,
yeah.
we got chat here. You know, I've played you know, about 2 hours of the game. I think after this, I'm probably gonna just eat and then I'm gonna start streaming again.
Bro, honestly, I feel so bad because I played the first hour off stream, or like, however, I think it was like 2 hours or so. I don't know, maybe an hour and a half. It's just the first planet. I played the first planet. You know what I'm saying? The intro in that first planet.
Yeah.
So I just got to where you play as Rivet, and it's like, I want to go back and play the game right now, but it's like,
Oh yeah.
should I restart and just go on stream, or should I just sit back, chillax, just play the game? Like, I don't know how I want to like attack it yet, but I just gotta say that the gameplay is fire. I love the fact they added a sprint mechanic. That's just something very different. The fact that you can sprint now, it adds different momentum. Also, the whole dodge thing, I feel like it adds another level to the gameplay as well, to where it's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like Returnal, but
it's got a similar.
It has like a crazy pattern in the game. I feel like this game is probably the most challenging one I've played, because I played like the higher difficulties on the ones that did have like a difficulty setting where you could choose. But I feel like this game is truly like it's challenging. Like, I feel like it's a challenge when I'm playing it. I gotta make sure I dodge and jump and switch weapons around and actually mix things together to actually, you know, come out on top of Warzone. And I also like how they kind of give you your arsenal early on, like pretty jam-packed early on. So
that is true. Yeah, you get a lot of weapons. Like when you're just leaving Sargasso, I feel like I had like I almost have a full weapon wheel.
Yeah,
and I'm like
I had
only in
like
the
at
second
least
area.
half of one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling what you're feeling. I love the game. I love the way the game feels so far. I gotta just tell this. Oh wait, we can talk about. Yeah, okay. You brought up that you were gonna play the game in fidelity mode, right?
Yeah,
shout out to that.
But I was going to, but I'm not gonna lie. After I found out that, like, you know, it's 1440p with the lowest of 1080p on natively with the 60 frames ray tracing, I swallowed that pill. I switched it up. Every single time I play these games, I always go fidelity. But I was like, for this, you know, just due to the fact it's like combat based and it's fast paced and everything, I'm gonna go with performance art, because that's also what I did with Demon Souls. And it's like you know, I feel like Demon Souls. So I was, you know, I'll just do that for Ratchet and Clank, and I've been liking it. And I tried to switch it, and after seeing playing on that RT performance so long, I don't think I'll be able to do it.
Performance ray tracing,
it looks great.
It literally does not make sense. Like it doesn't make sense, bro. It doesn't make sense. It looks so good and runs so good. Like, it is like there's a breakdown already on Digital Foundry that they posted this morning. But like even last night, like I was really, you know, switching back and forth between fidelity and performance RT, and it's like what little like visual quality you lose switching over to performance RT,
right,
is so minuscule. And
I don't
think the average person, like, dude, it's insane.
Does it affect,
it looks so good
when you turn it down to like the performance stuff? Does it affect like density? Like,
yeah, so the only spot where Digital Foundry found it was in the very beginning of the game when you're at the like award scene and there's people in the stands. That is a little bit less dense in terms of crowd density, but that was like the only major section that they found.
Oh, so really it's not even like you're
there's still like they said there might be less cars in Nefarious City that are flying above you, but
it's not even that serious.
It's
not even that serious.
Yeah, they couldn't discern it. The NPCs in the actual layout are a similar count. Like, performance RT is the way to go. 110%.
Also, Felix, I agree. The game does look great. The art style is fire, and it's actually, for it to be such like a cartoony looking game, it has like that blend, like the materials, or like, what's the word? The textures of certain things look realistic as fuck.
Dude,
like the art style's like, it's like halfway like, you know, like cartoony, but there's just certain things in it where it's like, that looks real. Like I just think it's the textures, like on the weapons or like the Omni wrench or the clothing a bit, like stuff like that. It's kind of like with FF7. I feel like the same type of art style, not necessarily the same, but like when it comes to like some things being photorealistic and then other things being like cartoony, or like like on Ratchet's nose, he has like the the crevices and stuff like that. Like there's just levels of detail to the game that you wouldn't think would be there. That and also of like the reflections on like Clank and I don't know, it looks great.
Like the one time last night on stream I stopped. I was like, this is mind-blowing. In Nefarious City, there's a part where it's like right behind where you meet Miss Zorgon. There's a place where you can magnet boot walk up this like wall.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
And when you see the rain coming down and the light with the fog, and
it's like the light's bouncing this way because you're on the thing, right? From the floor.
It is, yes, it is stunning. It's